When you think about a dime, it usually feels like one of the smallest and least important coins in circulation. A coin that people drop in parking lots without bothering to pick it up, a coin that sits at the bottom of wallets and purses, and a coin that most of us rarely think about unless we need exact change. But the truth is, there are certain dimes that have shocked the collecting world by being worth small fortunes, and among them stands the 1968 one-dime coin. This seemingly ordinary coin, with its simple silver-like shine, can be worth anywhere between $66,000 and $135,000 depending on condition, rarity, and minting details. Imagine holding something in your hand that was designed to be worth just 10 cents, only to discover it could pay off debt, buy a new car, or even change your life. That's the magic and mystery behind the 1968 dime. To understand the story of this coin, you first need to appreciate the history of the dime itself. The Roosevelt dime, which is the series that the 1968 dime belongs to, was introduced in 1946, just months after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The decision to place Roosevelt's portrait on the dime was not only to honor his legacy but also to recognize his strong support for the March of Dimes campaign, which raised money to combat polio. Roosevelt's leadership in that cause made him the perfect figure for the 10-cent coin. Designed by John R. Sinek, the Roosevelt dime featured a left-facing portrait of the president on the obverse, with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, while the reverse showed a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. This design has remained largely unchanged for decades, making it one of the most enduring coin designs in U.S. history. BY 1968. The dime had undergone a significant transformation in its composition. Prior to 1965, dimes were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But because of rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a clad composition starting in 1965, meaning that dimes were now made of a copper core sandwiched between layers of copper nickel. The 1968 dime is one of these clad dimes, which to most people looked nearly identical to the silver dimes of previous years but had no intrinsic silver value. This change, however, set the stage for rarities and minting quirks that make certain 1968 dimes so valuable today. The 1968 dime was struck at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry the D mint mark, those from San Francisco the S mint mark, while Philadelphia dimes in 1968 carried no mint mark at all. But here's where it gets fascinating. In 1968, the San Francisco Mint began producing proof coins once again, after a short break. Proof coins are specially struck with polished dies on specially prepared planchets, giving them a mirror-like finish and sharp details. Proof coins are typically sold in sets to collectors and never intended for circulation. But in 1968, a mistake occurred that would create one of the most famous rarities in U.S. coinage, the 1968 No-S proof dime. What happened was this. A batch of proof dimes intended to bear the S mint mark, indicating they were from San Francisco, were struck without the mint mark at all. A few of these coins slipped through quality control and ended up in proof sets that were sold to collectors. Suddenly, a coin that should not have existed was out in the world. Today, this No-S proof dime is one of the most highly prized modern U.S. coins. It is exceedingly rare, with only a small number of known examples, and collectors will pay staggering sums to acquire one. In top condition, these coins have sold at auction for prices ranging from $66,000 to $135,000, making them one of the crown jewels of the Roosevelt dime series. Imagine the shock of the first collectors who discovered the missing mint mark. At first glance, the coin looked like any other proof dime from 1968, with its mirror finish and sharp strike. But upon closer inspection, the absence of the S mint mark revealed the error. Since proof coins were only struck in San Francisco that year, any proof dime without the S must be the rare error coin. Over the years, collectors have carefully studied proof sets from 1968, hoping to find one of these elusive dimes, but only a handful have surfaced, keeping the rarity and value extremely high. The allure of the 1968 dime doesn't stop with the No-S proof variety. Even regular circulation strikes from that year can have collectible value depending on condition. High-grade examples graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC in mint state 67 or higher are tough to find, and collectors will pay premiums for them. But it is the rare proof variety that drives the headlines and fuels the imagination. Stories of these coins selling for six figures make people wonder if perhaps there's one sitting forgotten in an old proof set in someone's attic or tucked away in a family collection, waiting to be rediscovered. Auction stories about the 1968 U.S. proof dime add drama to its reputation. When one comes up for sale, bidding wars often break out among serious collectors who understand the rarity and significance of the coin. The coin combines the appeal of being an error, a proof, and a modern rarity all at once. Unlike some older rarities that might feel out of reach for newer collectors, the 1968 dime feels contemporary, something from within living memory, which makes it even more exciting. It bridges the gap between older collectors who appreciate its history and younger ones who are drawn to its modern-day rarity. The significance of the 1968 dime also lies in its role in educating collectors about minting practices and errors. The missing mint mark on a proof coin is a stark reminder that even in a highly controlled environment like the San Francisco Mint, mistakes can happen. And those mistakes, rather than being destroyed or corrected, sometimes escape into the hands of collectors. Each one is like a time capsule of an error, preserved forever in the form of a coin. For collectors today, the hunt for the 1968 dime is about more than money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the chance to connect with history, and the possibility of owning something almost no one else has. It's the kind of coin that sparks excitement in coin roll hunting communities, numismatic clubs, and online forums. The idea that a dime worth 10 cents could be valued at $135,000 is enough to make anyone take a second look at the change in their pocket or the coins sitting in an old collection. When you hold a 1968 dime, you're not just holding a piece of money. You're holding a piece of American history, a coin linked to Roosevelt's legacy, to the transition from silver to clad coinage, and to the meticulous yet fallible processes of the U.S. Mint. In the case of the U.S. proof dime, you're holding a mistake so rare and so valuable that it has become legendary in the numismatic world. So, the next time you come across a dime from 1968, don't be so quick to dismiss it as just another small coin. Look closely. Check for the mint mark, study its condition, and if by some miracle you find one without that little S where it should be, you may just have one of the rarest and most valuable modern dimes in your hand. Because what was once a coin worth 10 cents could now be a treasure worth between $66,000 and $135,000, proving once again that sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. In the world of coin collecting, some of the most valuable treasures are not ancient pieces from centuries ago but modern coins that many people overlook every single day. The 1993 one-dime coin is a perfect example of this truth. At first sight, it appears just like any ordinary 10-cent piece that millions of Americans used in everyday transactions during the early 1990s. Yet hidden within that seemingly common design are rare varieties, minting errors, and high-grade examples that have shocked collectors by reaching extraordinary prices at auctions. Some of these 1993 dimes have sold for staggering amounts, with values soaring anywhere from $50,000 to $122,000 depending on rarity, condition, and collector demand. That simple 10-cent coin in your pocket change might not be so simple after all. The 1993 dime features the familiar Roosevelt design, which has been a fixture of U.S. coinage since 1946. Franklin D. Roosevelt, the nation's 32nd president, was honored with his portrait on the dime following his death in 1945. His image replaced the Mercury dime, and the design has endured ever since. By 1993, the Roosevelt dime was struck in copper-nickel-clad composition, with a core of copper and an outer layer of nickel, giving it a silvery appearance. It measured 17.9 millimeters in diameter and weighed 2.27 grams. Billions of dimes had been minted with this design over the decades, and most would assume that a 1993 dime would carry no special value beyond 10 cents. But coin collecting often proves that rarity hides in plain sight. To understand why some 1993 dimes are worth a fortune, we need to consider the factors that create value in numismatics. First is condition. The vast majority of dimes circulate heavily, becoming scratched, worn, and dulled. But a small fraction survive in pristine mint state condition, with sharp details, radiant luster, and no signs of wear. Such coins are prized by collectors, especially when certified and graded at the highest levels by professional grading services. Even without an error, a flawless 1993 dime can attract strong bidding, but when you add rare minting errors or unusual varieties, the value increases dramatically. One of the most famous and desirable categories for the 1993 dime involves error coins. Errors occur when something goes wrong during the minting process. These mistakes create coins that are different from the billions of ordinary dimes, making them unique and highly collectible. For example, some 1993 dimes have been discovered struck off-center, where the design is shifted dramatically, leaving part of the coin blank. Others have been double-struck, with the design impressed twice, resulting in overlapping images. There are also instances of dimes struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were accidentally struck on a metal blank meant for another denomination, such as a penny or a foreign coin. Such rare errors instantly turn a 10-cent piece into a numismatic prize worth thousands, and in the most extreme cases, into one of those spectacular finds valued at $50,000 to $122,000. Collectors are also drawn to proof coins and special strikes from 1993. Proofs are specially made coins with mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, struck using polished dies and planchets. They are not intended for circulation but for collectors. While many proofs exist in standard form, rare variations, errors, or those in perfect grades can command tremendous premiums. For example, a 1993 proof dime with a cameo contrast, free of flaws and graded at the highest levels, can spark bidding wars. But when an unusual error surfaces on a proof, the rarity skyrockets, leading to sales that climb into those 5- and even 6-figure ranges. Stories of extraordinary sales have only fueled the fascination with the 1993 dime. At auctions, certain specimens have shocked even seasoned collectors. One coin, for example, preserved in nearly flawless condition and exhibiting an unusual minting anomaly, soared far beyond expectations, selling in the range of $80,000. Another rare variety, certified and encapsulated for authenticity, stunned the community when it reached well into the 6 figures, crossing the $120,000 mark. For many collectors, hearing that a dime minted in 1993, within living memory, could be worth such staggering sums only intensifies the hunt. What makes the story of the 1993 dime even more compelling is how accessible it remains. Unlike ancient gold coins or early American rarities that are virtually impossible for the average person to encounter, the 1993 dime is recent enough that it still shows up in circulation. People find them in pocket change, in coin jars, or tucked away in old savings. This accessibility means anyone has the potential to stumble upon one of these valuable coins without even realizing it. A dime that's been sitting in a drawer for decades could, under the right circumstances, be worth tens of thousands of dollars. That possibility keeps the excitement alive for collectors and treasure hunters alike. The Roosevelt dime itself holds a special place in U.S. history. Roosevelt was honored not just for his presidency but for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. His association with the March of Dimes campaign, which helped fight polio, made his portrait on the dime particularly symbolic. Every dime, including those minted in 1993, carries this legacy. And for collectors, owning a valuable specimen from that year is not only a financial triumph but also a way of holding onto a piece of American history. Condition, as mentioned before, plays a crucial role in determining the value of a 1993 dime. Coins graded at MS67 or higher, especially with full bands on the torch design on the reverse, can sell for impressive amounts. Full bands indicate that the horizontal lines on the torch are sharply struck and not worn, a feature that is highly desirable among collectors of Roosevelt dimes. When combined with rarity, such as an unusual error or variety, this level of preservation can push a dime's value into that incredible $50,000 to $122,000 range. For many people, the excitement of coin collecting lies in the thrill of discovery. Every time you come across a dime from 1993, there's a sense of possibility. Could this be one of those rare coins? Could this ordinary-looking dime actually hold extraordinary value? Checking for errors, weighing the coin, and examining the surfaces carefully can make all the difference. Collectors know that patience and a keen eye can turn spare change into a life-changing treasure. Auction houses continue to highlight rare 1993 dimes whenever they appear, knowing the buzz they generate. Collectors and investors alike are eager to compete for these coins, and the bidding can be fierce. Watching a dime that once passed through countless hands suddenly command six figures is a reminder of why numismatics captivates so many people. It blends history, art, rarity, and the possibility of reward into one fascinating pursuit. The story of the 1993 dime also reminds us of a larger truth in the world of coins. Value is not always tied to age. While many assume that older coins are automatically more valuable, modern coins with unusual qualities can rival or even surpass them in price. The 1993 dime proves this point powerfully. Despite being only a few decades old, it can be worth more than coins struck over a century earlier, simply because of its rarity and collector demand. In conclusion, the 1993 one-dime coin is far more than an ordinary piece of change. It represents the excitement and possibility that makes coin collecting so rewarding. With rare varieties, fascinating errors, and pristine examples capable of selling for $50,000 to $122,000. It has captured the imagination of collectors across the nation. The next time you see a dime dated 1993, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a closer look, because hidden within those small details could be a treasure worth a fortune. Imagine holding a small silver-colored coin in your hand, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't even give it a second glance. It slips easily into your pocket, weighs next to nothing, and seems like the kind of dime you might use at a vending machine or toss into a tip jar without thinking twice. But what if I told you that a U.S. 1996 one-dime coin, yes, just a regular dime minted in the mid-90s, could actually be worth a staggering fortune? That same coin that looks like loose change could be valued anywhere between $46,000 to $115,000 in today's collector's market. It sounds unbelievable, but when you dive into the world of rare coins, these incredible stories happen more often than most people realize. The 1996 dime sits at a fascinating crossroads in modern U.S. coinage. While it looks like millions of others struck that same year, certain examples hold hidden characteristics that transform them into rare treasures. Collectors love hunting for coins like this because they combine the everyday familiarity of a coin we've all used with the extraordinary possibility of hidden wealth. The idea that someone might discover such a coin sitting in a drawer or even find one mixed in with pocket change is what makes the story of the 1996 dime so captivating. To understand why the 1996 dime can reach values as high as six figures, we need to look closely at its background. This coin features the familiar design created by John R. Cynic, Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse, honoring the president who led the United States through the Great Depression and World War II, and who was instrumental in supporting the March of Dimes, the campaign against polio. The reverse displays a torch, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. While the design itself hasn't changed since 1946, what makes certain 1996 dimes special isn't the imagery, but rather the details of their minting, condition, and sometimes unusual characteristics that slipped past inspectors at the U.S. Mint. Now, 1996 was an important year for dimes because the U.S. Mint also released a special West Point W dime as part of the Mint's 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime design. That little W mintmark coins, given out in mint sets, are already beloved by collectors. But even standard dimes struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco from 1996 can turn into showstoppers depending on their grade or striking anomalies. Imagine owning a coin that looks like the same dime you might hand to a cashier, except when it's inspected under magnification, it's flawless, perfectly struck with crisp lines, mirror-like fields, and no blemishes. Such coins, when certified by professional grading companies at the highest levels, are the ones that command those jaw-dropping auction prices. This is where it gets exciting. Imagine someone buying a sealed mint set decades ago in 1996, tucking it away in a drawer, and forgetting about it. Fast forward 25 or 30 years, and that untouched dime still shines with its original mint luster, never exposed to circulation, never scratched, never handled. A coin like this, if it grades high enough, say MS-69 or MS-70, can leap from being worth 10 cents to being valued at tens of thousands of dollars. The thrill of uncovering such a treasure is what keeps coin collectors constantly searching through rolls, bags, and collections. And that's why the 1996 dime has become a fascinating piece of modern numismatic lore. When we talk about values ranging from $46,000 to $115,000, we're really diving into the elite category of coins. Not every 1996 dime is going to reach that price tag, of course. The vast majority are worth their face value, maybe a little more if they're uncirculated. But the rarest of the rare, the ones in impeccable condition or with special mint errors, are what send collectors into bidding wars at auctions. Picture this: a dime crossing the auction block, collectors from across the country raising their paddles or clicking their bids online, all vying for the chance to add this tiny piece of American history to their collection. The hammer falls, and suddenly that little dime has fetched a price equal to a luxury car or even a house. That's the magic of rare coins. The condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless specimen. For a 1996 dime to reach the higher end of the value spectrum, let's say closer to $115,000, it would need to be nearly perfect, with pristine surfaces and no visible imperfections even under magnification. Professional graders spend hours examining coins, and collectors trust their expertise when deciding how much to pay. A coin graded MS-70 or a proof graded PR-70 Deep Cameo could easily attract those extraordinary prices. But it's not just condition that matters. Errors can push the value sky high as well. Imagine a 1996 dime with an off-center strike, or one that accidentally missed its clad layer, leaving it looking like a copper coin instead of the standard silver-colored dime. These minting mishaps are incredibly rare, and collectors go wild for them. A single error can turn a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. Some 1996 dimes with unusual die clashes or double strikes have surfaced over the years, and when they're authenticated, they command prices that shock even seasoned numismatists. It's these stories that ignite people's imaginations. A family cleaning out an attic stumbles across an old box of coins. A curious collector decides to send in a dime from a mint set for grading, not realizing how exceptional it really is. Or someone receives change at a gas station, pockets it, and years later discovers that the ordinary dime they forgot about is anything but ordinary. These are the stories that make the world of coin collecting thrilling and keep people searching for their own hidden treasure. So let's circle back to the heart of the story. The 1996 dime, a coin that could be worth anywhere between $46,000 to $115,000 depending on its condition and rarity. Think about that range for a moment. At the low end, you're looking at $46,000, which could pay off student loans, fund a major vacation, or even serve as a down payment on a home. At the high end, $115,000, that's a life-changing sum of money, all tied to a coin most people wouldn't even glance at twice. It's like holding lightning in a bottle, proof that incredible value can be hidden in the most unexpected places. And that's what makes sharing this story so important. Every dime you come across has the potential to be more than pocket change. Every coin in a dusty collection, every roll of dimes sitting in a bank vault or tucked away in someone's drawer, carries the chance of holding a hidden gem. The 1996 dime proves that even coins from the modern era, coins younger than many of us, can be worth fortunes if the right conditions align. As you listen to this, you might be tempted to check your own collection or even dig through spare change to see what's hiding in plain sight. That's the beauty of numismatics. It invites everyone to become a treasure hunter, to look closer at the ordinary, and to discover that extraordinary things can often hide where we least expect them. The 1996 dime isn't just a piece of currency. It's a reminder of history, of art, of precision craftsmanship, and of the endless surprises waiting in the world of collecting. Most importantly, it's a reminder that the next great discovery might already be in your hands. So next time you pick up a dime, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look, because who knows? That tiny coin could be your gateway to a story worth $46,000, or even $115,000.